Hi, welcome to You, Me and Mediumship. Please excuse the jumper. It's one of them work things. So, yeah, I know it's a bit bright, but please excuse that. I was asked rather in a comment about if I did any like very basic beginners tuition, if you like, don't like calling it that, or guidance for beginners. People that are very, very new to mediumship. Now, I will be doing a class, I think, a kind of more of a get together for beginners. It will start off as a one-to-one, and then we will probably work together. I mean, obviously, that'll be through choice. You don't have to join as a group if you don't wish to do that. If you'd rather work as more or less on a one-to-one basis, then that's absolutely fine. But I will be doing a probably something like a 6-month guidance course, if you like, on Patreon. But just for now, just to give you a very rough idea of what to do or how to start, then I'll do this short video for you. Basically, I know how difficult it is as a pure beginner, if you like. For some reason, it's very difficult to get into some circles, into some groups, and sometimes it's the sheer fact that maybe there aren't any groups near you or around you or any churches or anything like that, so you tend to be quite alone, and it's a bit difficult to know quite what to do to try and get the ball rolling for yourself. And believe me, I've been there, I know what that's like. So if you do have a local open circle that you can join, then by all means do so. Have a word with the person who runs that circle and just ask if it's okay for you to go along. If you're not sure what open circle means, it's basically a circle that anyone can join. They can go and sit in that circle and practice their mediumship skills. One thing I will say is, please, the worst thing you can do is be frightened to express what you sense. It doesn't matter. Sometimes things you pick up can just seem so ridiculous, but the thing is, sometimes those ridiculous things can mean the world to somebody, and that's another lesson that you learn. Always say what you feel, what you sense. It's very important you learn to do that early on. There's nothing worse than somebody giving you some information about a loved one that's passed, and you picked up on that and you didn't say anything. And there's nothing worse. There's no point in sitting there going, oh, I thought that, I saw that, I sensed that. You need to be the one who gives that evidence. Don't be told by somebody after the horse has bolted, if you like. So another lesson I learned early on. And sometimes you get some what seem to be totally irrelevant statements, images, things that don't make sense to you at all, and they seem a bit silly to you. So therefore, in the early days, because of your confidence, I guess, you tend to keep them to yourself, only to be told later on that that piece of information meant an awful lot. So don't slip up there. Be prepared to say whatever you sense. It does not matter if it's wrong, if it's not taken, because it does happen sometimes where that piece of information, because you're newish, I guess, at mediumship, it does happen sometimes that you could be picking up on something and you misinterpret what you're being told. That image may mean something a little different to what you think it means, and you could quite easily give that information across to somebody, but in a wrong way, in a way that doesn't make sense, and that does not matter. That's the whole point of you sitting in that open circle. That's the whole reason you're there. So don't be afraid. And if you get something wrong, don't just give up on it. Just keep working away, and it will improve. It'll get better over time as Spirit learns about you, how you work, and you learn about how they work with you. And the symbols, I've been asked that question before. How do you know what symbols mean? Well, if you sit enough with Spirit, if you sit enough in that silence, then you will learn over time what each symbol means. So sometimes they can be totally different to what you think they mean. So don't just go human on a symbol. Okay, ask. That line of communication is important. It's got to be two-way. Ask, what are you trying to show me by showing me this symbol? And that's why I say about sitting in the power. If you do that enough and often enough, then you will get to know what those symbols mean. And they are normally something that can be quite personal to you. That's why when you sit in that power, that symbol, okay, will be learnt, okay, by Spirit. They will know what that symbol means to you. It may be something from your past that means something to you, and try and think about that. So if they show you something, for argument's sake, I don't know, let's say a monkey, for argument's sake, I don't know where that come from, but if they show you something, you get this image of a monkey, you may well have had a relative that you used to have a nickname, used to call them just like a monkey, how they act, or they used to do monkey impressions or something like that, and it was an uncle that used to do that for you personally. Okay, so it could be that their way, Spirit's way of telling you that there's an uncle drawing close. So you might just get that image of a monkey, which you will relate, and as silly as this sounds, you will relate that immediately to an uncle figure coming through. So on the symbol side of things, okay, it takes time to learn what they mean. So don't rush into it and get panicky and upset if you've got no idea what that symbol means. It will come to you eventually, and as you do more and more readings, those symbols will obviously keep coming up, and you will learn them. You will know what they mean to you, and what Spirit are trying to say to you. So obviously in a reading, you are not just going to get loads and loads of symbols coming through, and you're sitting there trying to work out what it is they're trying, what the message is they're trying to pass to you. Okay, so symbols will be just a small element of what you do. Okay, you will have that sense, your clairsentience will kick in, you will sense voice. Voice is a sense. You don't always necessarily hear that, but you will sense a sentence, if you like. You will sense a statement. It comes through as a sense, not as a sound. So in the early days, all this is what Spirit are getting from you, what they're learning about you, and what you are getting from them, what you are learning about them. So yeah, try and get yourself in a circle if you can. If you can't, now some mediums who teach will say that you should not ever sit on your own. That's all, as far as I'm concerned, a bit of scaremongering. Because there's worry of possession, there's worry of all sorts of weird and wonderful things that are going to happen to you. You grow another head and all that sort of thing. But please, you are working in love and light. You are working in positive energy. That is where you're at. You are not going to get possessed. If an energy gets a little bit too close, just a simple please stand back is all it takes, and Spirit respect that. They will stand back. Okay, if you're just sensing a little bit too strongly, maybe an illness or something like that, that some energy or soul has passed with whilst in the body, and it's a little bit too much, then you just ask politely, please just step back. It's a little bit too much for me. Please step back, and spirit will step back. So take no notice of do not sit on your own scenario. It's a bit of scaremongering. Yes, I'll get probably a few comments and from a few people, but hey ho, that's how it goes. So it's difficult to be quite serious here, sat with this jumper on, but I do apologise. Yeah, so in the early days, try and find that circle if you can. If you can't, then think about sitting in the power. Okay, do it as often as you can, as often as you are comfortable to do it. Then it's important that you get in the habit of sitting for spirit. Dedicate a period of time. It doesn't matter too much how long in the early days. Believe me, once you get into that habit, then you will sit, think I'll have half an hour, 30 minutes or so. I'm just going to sit here, sit with intent. That's what's important. You must let spirit know why you are sat there. Okay, you're not sat there to have a kip. You are there for them. I wish to learn mediumship skills. I wish to be able to communicate with you. I ask now that you draw close. I give permission for you to draw close so that we can learn about each other, so that I can pass messages on from loved ones in spirit to the loved ones on this side of life. This is why I give you this time, so that we can learn about each other, so we can learn to work together. And those that are going to work with me, I ask if you could draw close and give me a sign that you're here. Just send that intent out. Sit, if you can, if possible, around about the same time every evening, if you can. Always try and sit around about the same time. Now, it's not overly important that you don't do that. So if it's not possible, then obviously you sit when you can. It might not be possible for you to be able to sit at exactly the same time every evening or every other evening whenever you decide to sit. So don't overly worry about that. Just sit in the power when you can. And like I said, if you sit for 30 minutes, okay, that 30 minutes will soon become an hour without you even knowing it. And I can remember sitting or thinking about sitting for 20 minutes and come out of sitting in the power and it's been an hour and a half. So it's unbelievable. There is no time. It just absolutely flies by whilst you're sat in the power. So early on, sit in the power as much as you can, around about the same time. The reason I say that is through experience, really. It's just I'm aware that if I sit at the same time on an evening, the clock starts to approach the time for sitting. I might not be totally aware of that happening. Okay, I could be in cuckoo land somewhere thinking about something else or reading or watching telly or whatever. But it's like a spiritual nudge. Okay, I get that sensation of spirit drawing close, and it really is like a little nudge to say, come on, it's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, or whatever it is. It's a sensation that I get, that I sense that, oh, it's time to sit now. It's time to sit in the power. So you'll probably find exactly the same thing. You may be on the telephone and all of a sudden you will get that sensation of spirit drawing close. This will come to you in time and you'll think, yes, they kind of get used to when you sit in the power. obviously, within spirit, there is no time as such. That's very much a man-made thing. But they are aware of our time frame. They understand, obviously, the element of time whilst in the body. Obviously, they've been here, they've experienced that. So they are aware of it. And they know when it's time for you to sit. And they will give you that little nudge to begin your sitting in the power. It's not always possible. And like I've said before, spirit are totally aware that life does at times get in the way of things. That, like I said, they've experienced life itself. They totally understand. So don't feel bad if something occurs and you can't sit that evening. Spirit are totally aware of that. So it's not a problem. So 2 things there. Find a circle if possible. If not, sit in the power. Okay, get in that regular habit. And I can't underline the importance of sending out that intent. Communicate with spirit. This is what mediumship is. It's communication. So it's important that you communicate. If you send that thought out to spirit, or if you're comfortable, you're on your own one evening and you want to talk normally to spirit using your voice, not necessarily just thought, you can out loud say or give that intent to spirit. Now, the question that comes up an awful lot is, well, how long have I got to sit for spirit before I start to sense anything? I can't answer that question because it varies so much. There'll be a number of you who are beginning your journey as a medium. There'll be a number of you who may ready or sense or know when spirit is close. You may well be quite clairvoyant. You may well be quite clairsentient. You may already have started along that pathway, if you like. So you've already got some of those senses working for you, which is great. Work on them and getting them fine-tuned, if you like. So if you've never sensed spirit, ever, okay, which I will find very difficult to believe if you say that to me, because we all have gut feeling. So in my view, you are sensing spirit, you are sensing that nudge, you are sensing something that's trying to guide you. So we all sense spirit in one way or another. So if you've never necessarily seen spirit, if you've never heard spirit, apart from just having that gut feeling, then just be patient. We all have dreams. There's nobody alive who's never had a dream, is there? So we all visualize. So be aware that you can visualize. So while you're sat in the power, there is a chance that a vision will come to you. And another thing that's very important is don't hold on to that vision. Don't hold on to that sound. Don't hold on to that sense. Just let it come and let it go. So as easily as it came in, you must allow it to leave as easily as that. So as it flows in, let it flow out. Don't hold on to it, trying to work it out, trying to work out what it means. Is that Auntie so-and-so? I don't know. It looks a bit like it. Could be. I'm not sure. And the minute you do that, you're going to lose it. Okay, it will go. You will lose that expansion that you have created while sitting in the power. It will go. Okay, so just allow things to flow early on. Now, once you're out of sitting in the power and all these things that you saw, sensed, heard, whatever, okay, it's a good idea sometimes to make a little notes, have a little notebook, a little journal, and just scribble down things that you've seen, you've sensed while sitting in the power. Because you'll be amazed further down the road how some of these things fit in with people that you give readings for sometimes. I mean, I can remember writing things down and the same day sometimes going to work and being told about someone who had passed, or overhear a conversation where some of these things were amazingly accurate that I'd seen, that I'd heard. So I'll just move my phone a bit. So it's quite intriguing, really, how some of these things can fit in with people you know. So always make a little note. Always have a scribble at the end of the session of sitting in the power of things that you've seen and sensed. So there's a few tips there, really. So early on, like I said, try and join that circle if you can. Sit in the power if you can't. Combination of both is great if you can do that. If you go to a circle once a week or whatever, it's great if you can to try and develop your mediumship personally. Now, what do I mean when I say that? What I mean is do not, expect to be the same as somebody else. Do not expect to give messages in the same way somebody else does it. It's got to come from you. It is your energy. It is the center, the heart of your soul that is doing this work. It's got nothing to do with what's been placed in your head through books, through courses and things like that. Believe me, it will hold you back something chronic. I'll try and be a little bit more detailed, I think, in what I'm trying to say. If you shadow another medium and how they work, it is no longer your mediumship. It is no longer from you. It is no longer from the heart and soul of self. You are simply shadowing. So you are like a sheep following the shepherd. Okay, I do not teach that method. And the reason is simply it doesn't work. We are all individual personalities. We all have a mixed bag of emotions, of thoughts, of perceptions. We are all vastly different. So our mediumship is exactly the same. It is vastly different for us all. I know for a fact if I sat down and tried to work exactly the same way as another medium does, I will struggle because it's not me. Okay, so don't fall into that trap of following the shepherd, if you like. Okay, you're not a lost sheep at all. Okay, you are individual and you belong. Okay, you belong to that element of source, no different than anybody else in that sense. But how you perceive, how you sense, how you work with that source will be vastly different to how someone else will. So I know I go on about Patreon. I know I bring this up about training, and again, like I said, it is not training. It is basically taking you by the hand, if you like, and leading you to a point where you need to be able to start to learn. Spirit will teach you from that point. Sometimes it's very difficult to get to that point, and sometimes it's simply because nobody seems to want to do it. Okay, what they want to do is they want to teach you to be like them and work how they work. Okay, if anyone does that, like I said earlier, and forgive me for all those that teach out there, okay, this is just my perception of it. This is where the hurdles that I came across, and I've taught myself to go around rather than scramble over them. So I learned, and I was lucky enough to learn early on, that I cannot be taught how to connect to spirit. I can be taken to the door and I have to find the key. As simple as that. Okay, so all I do is I take you to that door. Okay, we all have certain problems sometimes getting that door. There's little niggly things that get in the way, things we can't quite grasp. So I've been there, obviously I've got that experience of some of those things, and I can help you with spirit's guidance as well to get round those small little hurdles that are there. So a lot of this is down to your time, your dedication, and your work with spirit. So in a way, I guess, it seems a bit of a silly way of describing it, but I'm kind of like an employment agency, I guess. Because what I do is I lead you and I take you to where you will be able to find the teachers that will do that hard part for you, that connecting part. They will work with you and teach you to get clarity on that communication. And that is done over time. And that is all about learning about each other. It's about building that personal relationship with the energies that are around you who will work with you. And you will get to know them and they will get to know you. Okay? So when that happens, okay, your mediumship will take off. Once you've built that connection, once you have that personal connection with the energies that are around you, okay, you will then get more clarity on messages and statements and visions and things like that. That'll all start to build for you and be an awful lot better. So you will probably find that an awful lot, especially in modern day mediumship, mediums get to a point in their work and then it stops. It doesn't improve. So it's hit and miss. Yes, we never get it 100% correct. Nobody will ever. Okay. But it seems to me that mediums go so far and then that's it. They're out there, they're working. So they don't give themselves enough time to develop. They don't give themselves that's sitting in the power time, if you like. They don't give themselves the time to get to know personally those energies that are working with them. And that's a sad statement, really, because the mediumship will only ever be at a certain point. It will never, ever improve if we don't work differently than that. So, like I said, don't shadow anybody. Don't try and follow anybody. Don't try and give messages the same as somebody else gives a message. Okay, you need to do it personally for you, how it comes from your heart, from your soul. That will be your clarity. That's where you will find that you will be a lot more accurate in the evidence that you give, because you have that strength of link to the helpers that work with you. Okay, so there's just a few tips there, I guess. I'm working on the beginners kind of course, if you like, on Patreon now. Probably go on very soon, probably either tomorrow or certainly before the weekend. It will be 6 months, so it'll be like a 6-month course, and we will work together. We like I said, we will work personally. Okay, we can do one-to-ones, and obviously if you're I'm in the UK, so if you're like Australia or somewhere like that, I do have Australian students, but it can prove a bit difficult because of the time difference, but we do sometimes manage to work things out. But obviously if it's just a couple of hours or so, then that's absolutely fine. No problem with that at all. So I've got, like I said, Australian, Polish, American, and all around the world, the people that I'm working with at the moment. So have a look on there, or keep an eye on there, and I'm like I said, I'm going to do like a 6-month, a very beginner's course, if you like, And the people I tend to work with at the moment have got already some marvelous clairvoyance skills, clairaudience, and what have you. So it's a kind of intermediate, and I'm just helping sort of guide them over sort of different hurdles that they're coming across along the way. So if you're a beginner, circle, sitting in the power as regularly as you can. Let this be your journey, not someone else's that you are following. This is your journey. It's kind of like saying, don't live someone else's life, live your life. It's the same thing in a way. So it's your mediumship, your journey, your path. These are your stepping stones. You are not following someone else's footsteps. You are following your heart and soul. So have a lovely evening. Please like, please subscribe, and please share so I can just keep going with this. I thoroughly enjoy it, and I thoroughly enjoy meeting some wonderful people from all around the world. My aim is to improve the standard of mediumship, and my aim is to bring mediumship in a way going backwards to the old days, to where people did personally work with energy, with spirit, and there was a vast difference in that quality. We only have to look at and read about some of the marvellous aspects of spiritualism from the olden days. It was absolutely amazing. Obviously, there'll always be the people that turn around and say, oh, there's a lot of fraudulent mediums and blah, blah, blah. But there's also a lot of fraudulent plumbers and electricians, okay? So you'll find them everywhere, in every trade, if you like. But there's also some very genuine, amazing mediums from the past that it's well worth reading about. So that's where we want to be. We want to bring that back. So take care, have a lovely evening. Like I said, like and subscribe. Patreon, I will put a link in the description. Not an awful lot on there at the moment. I would like to get a lot more content on there. So I'm going to have to stop blabbing on YouTube and get myself over. And I've got a lot to put on there. But it's there as a platform, as a foundation for people who are interested in taking that journey to that door. Okay? And then, like I said, it will be down to you. But I'll always be there for you, even when you're at that door and you're working away, sitting in the power, and you're working away personally with those energies, with that spirit that surrounds you. And I'll always be there anyway, so I'm only a message away. So you can always send me a message or just leave a comment on a video or something, and I'll get back to you. I apologise for the length of time it takes getting back to some people. Sometimes I can get onto things quite quickly. Depends on the day, depends on the week, but very busy at the moment. But I will get back to you. I will not ignore anybody. So take care, and I'll speak to you very soon. Bye for now.